So not that the internet needs more noise about Charlie Kirk, but I'm gonna do it. And it's probably gonna be different than anything else. And to be honest, I didn't really want to say anything up until this point because I didn't really feel like I had anything to add. But when I think about this situation, and with Charlie Kirk, I'm stretching my hip right now. What keeps coming to the surface is this idea that all have the opportunity to love our neighbors as ourselves. And when Jesus was reflecting on that conversation with somebody so lovingly, and maybe this is a tune I didn't necessarily want to go, like, Christ was bold in his conversations. He went there with people, and it typically was a lot of religious people, or like the Pharisees and the Jewish people of the day, but Jesus engaged. Jesus was love, and he engaged in some pretty gnarly, offensive conversations. You know, this idea that, like, it's hateful to talk about offensive things isn't. But that's not the point of this. Jesus was saying we love our neighbors by going out of the way and loving somebody completely different than us, radically different than us. And he talked about the Good Samaritan as a Jewish man, and Samaritans, they were rivals. Think of it like a liberal person, maybe even purple hair, transgender, and then a conservative person. Okay, that's like the differences that we're talking about. And this Jewish man, he got robbed, and a priest and two other people, I forget now who, passed him. And honestly, they're afraid because it was dangerous. And so I'm speaking to two people today. I'm speaking to the people who are living by fear and know that they're called to something that's potentially dangerous. And I'm actually speaking to myself, where you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself on the chopping block. And literally, Charlie he went into these with very dangerous situations, knowing the threats. And he went because of the calling, and he did that. So first of all, the Good Samaritan story just isn't about sacrificially giving and serving. It is about risking dangerously and putting your life out on the line. And then two, talking to whatever side you're on is actually loving somebody. And the Samaritan person was moved from compassion to take care of that enemy. So whether you're a Charlie Kirk critic and you've never liked him, well, compassion would be saying, if you are actually being like Charlie Kirk and putting something so bold and controversial and offensive out there to talk about in slightly derogatory ways his life and his death. And even in the context of, but we're praying for your kids and we're there for your kids. That's almost on just the opposite spectrum of Charlie Kirk thing of being willing to put a difference of opinion out there. So in a lot of ways, you can have so much compassion for Charlie Kirk because you're willing to put your message out there like Charlie was. And you're willing to lose friends, people like Charlie was. First of all, there's that. And then second of all, there is for the people who are big Charlie Kirk fans. And whatever you think, whether you align totally with him or more with him, and how are you going to sacrificially love those around you and have compassion around you for them? Now, Charlie had so much compassion for those people around him that he went to those campuses. He was on a Samaritan mission because to love somebody and speak truth to them. And when you think about it and you say, no, that's impossible, and it's like, Charlie didn't go pick on people and say, hey, you talk to me, make them. People went up to the podium knowing that they were going to interact with him. So how unloving was it for people to enter Charlie's territory like that? It might be having a conversation with somebody, and that's what love looks like. But there's a nugget about Charlie that he's also not getting a ton of attention for. I not long ago listened to him be interviewed with Tucker Carlson. And here's the thing. Charlie is really going to bat for everybody to be able to get into homes. And his big passion was the finances and the financial state and the economy. He said the most frightening thing is that people are buying tickets using these pay programs, like these interest installment pay programs. Like, he's like, that is frightening. That is terrible. People can't get into homes. That wasn't just a conservative people can't get into homes. He's like, no, that's a problem. Nobody can get into homes. And he had a huge pulse on that and would talk to Trump about that and say, this is a problem. People need to wake up. Nobody's paying attention to this. With that, he said, that's my lane. I stay in, I have a few lanes. And other than that, I spend time with my family and I block it out. The other thing that I'm going to call any side to, including myself, is to say, what's in our lane? What are we called to? And then blocking out the noise of everything else. And love looks like silencing things at time and discerning, is this getting in the way of the most important relationships? Whether you hate the guy or not, he's a family man. And that was his most important relationship. And that is why people are, even on the opposite side of Charlie Kirk's viewpoints, are devastated, because they know that. We can learn so much. That's what I'm going to say about this all. God bless you guys.